Hey, startup founders and small business owners, Zoltan Vardy, creator of the Launch Code, here once again to speak to you about the importance of effective execution. Today, I want to share with you some really basic but important tips on problem solving, decision making, on weighing your options that are going to help you become more effective in delivering what needs to be done to build a successful business. Now, there's an old saying among startup circles that basically the formula for a successful business is 5% idea, 95% execution. I learned this the hard way about 20 years ago during my first entrepreneurial experience. I was in my late 20s and I was living in Los Angeles as a vice president at CBS television. And I was basically in the golden age of the internet. Companies like eBay and Yahoo and Amazon were only a few years old. And Mark Zuckerberg, who would go on to found Facebook, was in high school. And there I was surrounded by a bunch of people who were leaving these really important corporate jobs to basically start an internet company. That's what they used to call tech startups back in the late 1990s. And so I would see how these young upstarts were getting rich on paper, but also really changing the world. So I was very much inspired to do the same. So I left this job and I joined up with my business partner to create what we would call the Yahoo of Central and Eastern Europe, basically a network of local language news and information portals focused on specific countries in the region. And our idea was to launch in Hungary and then expand into neighboring markets from there. So we ended up raising $1.5 million of investment from angel investors, and we moved to Budapest and we started building this company. Now, here's the thing. Up until that point, I was under the impression that the most difficult part of starting a business was actually creating the business plan and raising the money. And boy, what I realized after 18 months, which is how long it took us to basically create, build, and sell the company, that it was a very different story. You see, when we had to build the business that we had created on paper and bring it to life, we realized that it was much more difficult. I mean, we had to deal with product development issues. We had to create a sales and marketing strategy. We had to build a team. All of those different elements had to be brought to life. And what I learned from that experience is that it's a lot more difficult than you first expect. So when you hear that, only 5% of a startup success is based on the idea and 95% is based on execution, it might seem a bit extreme, but it's pretty much close to the truth. The only thing I would add is that you probably cannot just do it. You have to create a basic blueprint to follow as you execute your business plan. And that sits really at the heart of the Launch Code, which is my business development framework that combines corporate style planning with entrepreneurial execution to help businesses create a clear path to growth and profits. Agility is the ability to change and control the direction and position of your body while maintaining a constant rapid motion. Mental agility is the ability to think quickly on your feet, solving problems, making decisions, being creative, often under intense pressure. This is critical when you're executing your business plan. To bring effective execution to life, you kind of have to understand what I call the circle of agility. Okay? The circle of agility consists of three behaviors: focusing on solutions, making quick decisions, and maintaining your options. Together, these behaviors create execution momentum that will drive progress across every aspect of your business, whether it's product development, sales, marketing, finance, or operations. Now, the first behavior within the circle of agility means focusing on solutions rather than problems. This mindset creates a really powerful domino effect. What do I mean by that? Well, it works like this. If you approach every obstacle as a problem looking for a solution, you ask yourself questions. Is your product development slow? Well, you find new or better programmers. Is your go-to-market strategy stalling? Well, you revisit your value proposition and make changes. Are you running out of money? You need to save costs and look for new funding. When you start solving problems repeatedly, you build positive momentum. See, you start to feel the rhythm of the business and you gain confidence and the energy to move things forward. This then creates momentum that builds your persistence. You get hooked on your momentum and you have no choice but to keep going. You persist, pushing through these difficult situations because you are driven by a desire to succeed. And finally, the persistence strengthens your agility and the circle continues. And if you maintain this rhythm, on occasion, you will experience what we often refer to as flow, right? It's that feeling that you're firing on all cylinders, that everything is going well, you can't do anything wrong. It's really magical. And if you can kind of bottle it up and sell it, you can make a fortune. Now, the circle of agilities continues with a second behavior, which I call decide and move on. As you execute your plans, you will inevitably come to a fork in the road, right? You need to commit to like one business partner or the next, or to hire this person or that person. And sometimes there's just not going to be an obvious choice. So it's critical that you don't get stuck and fail to make a decision. Instead, talk it through with your trusted advisors, choose your best option, and move on. Not making decisions regularly will cripple your progress, and eventually it's going to kill your business. You know, I once advised a team of startup founders, all of whom had an equal share in a business. One co-founder, I'll call him Greg, had informal power that basically gave him a bigger say in the key decisions. And so Greg was the type of the guy who would spend weeks considering every tiny detail related to every decision, no matter how small. He didn't support a course of action until he believed he had found the perfect solution. Here's the problem: perfect doesn't exist. And so Greg rarely supported a decision. And as a result, critical issues were left unsolved and business opportunities disappeared. His behavior was toxic. I mean, the other founders were frustrated, the company never gained momentum, and eventually the team, at Greg's urging, actually walked away from a significant investment that would have taken the business to a whole new level. I gotta be honest with you, even flipping a coin is better than not making a decision. Why do I say that? Because 95% of the decisions you face are far less important than you believe to be at the time. There's very rarely a right decision. There's only a decision to be made that you need to implement. And if you choose to go left and see what happens. If along the way you realize that you should have gone right, there's nothing wrong with stopping, reconsidering your options, course correcting, and making the necessary adjustments. At least this way you will know that you have not wasted valuable time waiting for the perfect solution. Mark Zuckerberg has got a great saying: done is better than perfect. I wholeheartedly agree. The third element of the circle of agility is to keep your options open. As you implement your plans, you will come across a solution that seems ideal. Okay, you may have found the perfect distribution partner for an important market, or you've got a perfect investor who shows serious interest in your company. This will basically feel great, but you have to be very careful. Okay, don't fall in love with your best option at the expense of every other alternative, because you might find that one day your ideal solution disappears, and you will have lost a valuable time without having a plan B in place. And here's the important thing: the impact of this behavior can really hold back your development. You know, I advised a European health tech startup that had met a potential distribution partner in the United States about a year before I started working with them. And I'll call this guy Oliver. Look, Oliver was a real sales guy, right? I mean, he had convinced the founders to enter an exclusive commercial agreement with him without receiving any immediate benefit in return. And after months and months of waiting for his promises to be fulfilled, I urged the company's CEO to look for alternatives, okay? To at least explore them. And you know, he was so in love with this one solution that every time another alternative partner came up, he basically would drag his feet until that opportunity disappeared. Well, look, unfortunately, after a year, it turned out that Oliver's promises were in fact empty. He couldn't come through. And so instead of accelerating its growth, this partnership, this reliance on a single option, brought the health tech company's development to a screeching halt. And the founders lost valuable time and resources waiting for Oliver rather than looking for alternatives. So the lesson here is clear: keep looking for alternatives to whatever problem you want to solve until you reach what I call a clear point of no return. That might be a signed contract, transfer of funds, or an obvious good faith execution of the agreement's proposition. Once this happens, then you can commit to your perfect option, but never before. Having a promising idea is a good start, for sure, but the success of any business comes down to effective execution. So tap into the circle of agility by making sure you focus on solutions, make quick decisions, and keep your options open. This is what will ensure that you execute with impact and that you and your business will blast off.